cartoon here. To get started, I'm going to go up to my canvas and turn on the drawing guide. And I like to use a 2-point perspective when possible. So I'm going to drag that over here, and then another one over here. I'm going to play with this just to get the way that I want it to look. I like that. I think I like that. So in our cartoon, we have a dentist playing relationship expert, and he's trying to reconnect a man with one tooth to his toothbrush. Now, comedy sounds terrible when you describe it like that, but that's what's going on here. So then, if this is the room, then I think I have my patient who's going to basically be sitting here in his chair. And I'm going to have him in this chair like this at the dentist. I'm going to have a dental chair there. And I've got a dentist here playing peacemaker between these two. He's going to be standing right there. And against this back wall here, we're going to have a chair. And in the chair is a toothbrush who is his girlfriend or lover or whatever. And they haven't been spending a lot of time together, which is why he's got no teeth. So he's got little skinny arms here. We're going to personify this toothbrush into an angry girlfriend. Let's see what a toothbrush would look like with those. What? And if this toothbrush were sitting in a chair, it would look like this. Everything would be working towards our perspective. That'd be that. Now the joke is this guy's gonna have one tooth. So that's important for the audience to see. So as he's looking lovingly at his lover, they're going to see that one tooth that he's got. Just going to look like that. And maybe he's bald. When I do this layer, I am just making shapes. I'm letting my hands sort of just go freely to create something that's interesting. I'm not worrying about lines. I'm not worrying about making it look neat. I'm just kind of going free here and trying to find interesting shapes that are going to be fun to draw. So here's our dentist. He's got one hand on the chair. And then to know that it's a dentist, I think it would be good if there was like a table of dental stuff here. We want to sell the joke, so there should be like some pics. And then there's the toothbrush in the background. The scorned wife toothbrush. And this is the door into the dentist office here. And then we have our dentist here who is looking at the toothbrush, trying to talk her into coming home. And this dentist is wearing a mask, as dentists tend to do. He's going to have a lab coat on. Even though that's more of a doctor thing than a dentist thing, I think it still sells the joke. Makes sense, gives the context of what's going on here. We have a dentist in a doctor's office, or in a dentist's office, I should say. And we've got his legs here, and his shoes go out this way towards perspective. And he's got one hand on her chair as well, because he's trying to reconnect them. And then they've got that like dental light thing. What does that look like? I think it kind of looks like this. Drawing from memory is fun. It's challenging, and it trains you when you go out to become more observant. So this is sort of my, without any Googling, what I remember the dental light to look like. And we're going to say it folds back here behind this there. And there we go. There's our general cartoon. Maybe even like a smile poster just so it's like really clear this is a dentist office. And that's the layout. Now we're going to ink. Go ahead and turn down the opacity. And I'm going to create an ink layer. I'm going to go up to my brushes, and I used Scotty's illustration brushes. I like small. And let's get our kind of our hillbilly looking guy. And the two eyes close together seems to make things a little funnier, a little more relatable, a little cuter. I really want that one tooth to come through, so I'm gonna be careful where I put that line. There's our ear shape. And it's got to look a little rough. He's very excited about the prospect of reconciling with his partner. I love cross-hatching and adding shadows to things. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like to just give things a little context. Just kind of give you everything you need to know about this guy in just a few lines. Okay. Now, what kind of shirt is this guy going to wear? The most important detail is because he's at the dentist, he's going to have one of those little bibs on. Because again, we want the joke to come through. We want it to be very clear what we're trying to show here. So let's draw the bib, because that's got to be front and center to sell that we're at the dentist. And there's our bib. And then he's probably just wearing a t-shirt. This guy doesn't have a lot of hygiene, I wouldn't say. He's not super concerned with his hygiene, so he doesn't brush his teeth after all. We're going to really have to bring that tooth out to make it show. So I'm going to just put his arm down here in a t-shirt. Give him a nice little belly. He doesn't really take care of himself physically. So it would make sense that he'd be overweight. There's his arm coming down the side. Now we match the other shoulder the same way. That arm coming down here. And doing your hatch lines, you try to keep them as equidistant as possible. Not what I did there. Try and do better on this one. Could I erase it and go back? Sir. But it's not really the focus of the cartoon, so I'm not worried about it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now we're going to draw our dentist. So I've got his hand here first that I'm seeing. I'll draw that. This is his little dental chair here. I like to show objects on a screen interacting with each other, so if this guy's sitting in this chair, it would make sense that there would be some disrupted leather or whatever they make these chairs out of. And then we decided we wanted to have a dental table here with some supplies on it. Let's put a little dental pick here. Okay, so we've got our man in our chair, we've got our dentist here. He is very concerned about these two. He wants them to get back together. The other side of his lab coat. This dentist is a little more fit than our patient is. Don't want to look too young, but most dentists are basically doctors, so they're into their fitness. I would be worried about a dentist that wasn't somewhat fit. He's got one shoe going that way. He's got the other shoe. This is why the perspective grid helps me so much, because like when I'm looking at this one little area here, it's like I can't quite tell. When I have the perspective grid, I can just see in this little space where this needs to go, where the foot needs to go, all that good stuff. Okay, so there's our dentist, and now we have our scorned toothbrush. So we want to get this one very cartoony because it's a toothbrush after all. We're not going for realism here. Okay. And it's a female. That's sort of the joke we're taking here, is that these two have grown apart. Now, I've never drawn the toothbrush bristles before, but that's how I'm going to do it. And that's going to generally be something like that. Now we got these personified arms of this angry, scorned toothbrush. Draw that line there. Come up the side. One of the things I love about Procreate is just when you tap with two fingers and it undoes whatever you did before. I just think that's a really great feature. And I find myself doing it in life all the time. I'm constantly tapping things with both fingers trying to undo it. All right, there's our toothbrush. She is scorned. She's angry. And we'll just put a chair here just for shits and giggles. She can't really sit in a chair the way I drew her, but it kind of makes sense that there'd be a chair in a dentist's office. So maybe she's leaning against it, or maybe it's just there. And we'll just give more context to the scene of what's going on. Okay, and let's draw some perspective lines here, just because I like drawing these things. I see these ones here, they don't follow the perspective. So I'm going to go back and fix those. Again, the little helpers here are so great for this. I can go in here, grab that. Just delete this away. Now let's draw those lines in correctly. I want them to follow the perspective of the room. And this chair needs some kind of way that it attaches to the bottom, otherwise people are going to say, is this guy floating? What's going on here? So this chair is bolted in right there. There's some bolts here. Just want it to make sense to your brain so you don't get so distracted by the inconsequential things in this scene and then miss the joke completely. Those lines suck. Let's go back. Let's stick to the perspective here. Use that as our guide for our lines. Okay, now we need our little light. So the dental light, I think it looks something like this. If there's any dentists out there and you're going crazy right now as I do all this, I'm sorry, but it's fun to imagine as an artist what something looks like versus Googling it. I do Google things sometimes when it's like, hey, I'm not going to get this right and no one's going to know what the hell I'm drawing. But I like to try and draw something from memory. If not, invent a whole new thing. So maybe this is what I think a dental light should look like. Maybe somebody will look at this one day and go, you know what, let's make that dental light because that's a cool design. But I think you get the idea looking at it that that's what I'm trying to represent here. I can kind of draw this just to kind of show that there's some glass there. And that kind of disappears behind the chair. Now let's do a little background. I've got a line like this for the wall. I've got a line coming up here at the top of the room. And that needs to continue down here. Just want it to make sense. And then we'll go across, draw the back of the room. That up a little bit. Okay, there's a room, there's two sides of the room. You got the one-tooth man on this side, you've got the toothbrush here, and in the background we have a little poster that says smile or something to show that we're in a dentist's office. I'll just write those letters. I'm not really good at lettering, as you can see, but I think I can make it work for this case. So if there was a dentist poster, what would it look like? Well, it might say smile. And it might have a picture of some guy smiling. And just like something like this. Not too much. This is background. I don't want it to distract from the joke. There we go. There's a dental poster. How about a tooth? That's really going to give us context to what we're doing here. So let's get a tooth. In fact, maybe the tooth should be smiling. In fact, that's what we'll do. Let's make this smiley face a tooth. Then we've really communicated to our audience where we are. See, this is why I like drawing. This stuff kind of comes together as you're drawing sometimes. Does that look like a tooth? Kind of. Nope. Try that again. That is a wonky looking tooth. Let's try to put the head on and see if that makes it look more like a tooth. Again, I'm just drawing a tooth from memory. I think I'd have seen enough. Let's go with a longer spread here. Right, that is going to be our tooth. Could I do better? Probably, but we're going to call it that, and we'll say that that's what a tooth looks like. Okay, and that is our pencil drawing. Let's go ahead and get rid of the grid. Oh, look, I'm missing a hand. See, that's why I had to do that. Make sure I didn't forget something. So let's go ahead and make his hand reaching towards the toothbrush. Draw his thumb. It's my starting point for a hand always. Now, when you draw fingers, don't put them all going the same direction. We rarely do that in real life. We want to draw our fingers like that, but they really kind of all go in different directions, and that makes them look a little bit more real, in my opinion. And this hand is disappearing backwards because she is behind us. And that is our black and white drawing, which of course I must sign it. I go for skinny, long letters when I do my signature. And then I do my wacky little Z, and I write the .com on that line, and write the year below it. And there we go.